I am honored to say that I actually do work in a relatively safe queer space. It's not something that people can say a lot. Like 80% of our office is very queer, and we do a lot of queer things, and we express a lot of our queerness, right? So through the Arts and Health Project, what we basically do is we do co-collaborative projects where we take an artist who's a professional artist, and we go into a community, we form a reference group, and what happens is there's a co-collaborative relationship with a community in order for us to feather health issues through the arts. It's not the same as community arts, where we just go into the community and people paint regarding art projects. So it's there's a lot of skills transfer involved. There's a lot of income generating projects that are involved, because our aim is basically to leave every community better than when we arrived, right? So yeah, that's a little bit of what we've done. Arts and Health, we have done the sex talk with Nosana. So Robert, we also met during the sex talk. They did the exhibition with me during the sex talk. It was a beautiful exhibition. It was happening at the Staten Art Gallery. We have done a project called Wrap It Up, where basically poets wrote poems about HIV and AIDS related issues. And then the conservative crowd at the Free State Arts Festival was like got the shocker of their lives when we did Secrete, which we basically opened out a call for artists to submit their pictures, and we were handing out condoms and lube on the festival grounds. So it's a lot of fun. Sometimes we get to have fun with people's emotions and how conservative they are. All right, I've actually made a joke with Adrian, who's a colleague of mine, that Bloemfontein is probably the only place that a gay bar literally has to be outside of town in order to make money. They've tried to put it in the middle of town, doesn't work, right? And we always joke about the fact that it's probably because when you're in 2nd Avenue, your neighbor is probably at Ivy Lounge next door or somewhere, and you don't want anybody to see that you're in a space where it is a gay club, right? Or a queer club. And in terms of creating safe spaces, we need to understand that queer spaces are not just the space that we're in. There are internal queer spaces that are safe. There's external queer spaces that need to be created in order for you to be safe. My body needs to be a queer, safe space for me. If you are not safe in your body, within yourself, then it's very difficult for you to go outside anywhere else and feel safe. That's first and foremost. So the first thing that you need to target when we target about safe queer spaces is the fact that internalized homophobia is a thing. You can hate yourself and hate your being because of how society has told you that what you're doing is wrong. So first of all, you must overcome your internalized homophobia and be okay with who you are, right? And then only, when you enter the internal queer space of other LGBTQI people, there also needs to be a queer space that is created. So I'm gonna call out some people. I'm gonna say, cis homosexual women, you need to recognize your privilege. You are connected to the body you were born in. That is a privilege. Trans men, you need to recognize your privilege. You need to recognize that the moment, whether you transition or not, but the fact that you identify as a man comes with its own privileges that no woman, trans or cis, can ever have. So you need to come into that space knowing what your privilege is. I am a black woman, I am a cis queer black woman, and I am educated. I need to recognize my space. I need to understand that sometimes when we are with several people and we're doing discussions like this, I can't just throw out words like hoteps and patriarchy and because not everybody will understand and will hear what I'm saying. And what we're trying to do is connect with people so that they know that I can hear what you're saying and I can hear what you're feeling and I want you to relate. So creating safe spaces, we can say all we want that Nosana created a safe space today, but I can guarantee you there's one person who didn't feel safe here. Even though nobody fought, even though there was no aggression, there was an individual who did not feel safe within this space, right? So creating a queer space is a lot more complex than us just saying that first of all, we have to create the space. Second of all, I mean, Anissa is doing amazing things by the fact that there are safety precautions that are being taken care of. Literally, you thought about every single thing that could possibly go wrong and you're trying to prevent it in some way, shape, or form. But, like you said, not everything goes right, right? So that's why it's such a complex situation to be in. When you're walking down the street, how can we actually say, this is my hometown. I know the street, I know Big Street Koratanda like the back of my hand. I could be walking down there at midnight, because I'm from Heidelberg, by the way, Ratanda and Zulu. So all my Zulu and Swati people, hey. Yeah. But I've walked up and down that street my entire life. But I can promise you right now, there's never a time when I will be safe. Not in that street, ever. Not even knowing that everybody in that street knows, right? There's still a safety issue that is presented. So, when you go into this agenda on queer spaces, you have to keep in mind every single possible thing that might go wrong. You have to understand that communities are delicate. Every single person comes into a situation with certain vulnerabilities, and you need to be understanding of where people come from. People don't come from the same spaces. We didn't go through the same struggles. But I can promise you right now, you might think your life is like complete shit, and then hear somebody else's story and feel like crap forever complaining, right? So that's just what I want people to keep in mind when we do talk about queer spaces, that they're not just about the four walls, right, that we have in a building. It is about internal safeness. It is about being safe within the community. I actually relate with Efimia, because a lot of the times I've heard, because I'm fluid, right? And a lot of fluid people like saying, if it is a mammal and it starts with Homo sapien, then I'll probably screw it, right? Yeah. Just a little joke that fluid people do, right? So you're not judging in terms of whether you're trans man, trans woman, cis man, cis woman, non-gender binary, whatever, right? So you don't judge. It's more about personalities and whatever. But the one thing that you will recognize within queer spaces and within the Rainbow Nation is people will go like, you're being greedy. Leave some for the rest of us. How God, you must choose. Are you lesbian or are you straight? You can't have both. Right? We've all heard these things. So within our own queer spaces, we cannot be safe. There have been gay men who have not understood why there is such a thing as a trans woman. And there are people who don't understand what being trans is, what that disconnect with your body means. I used to work with the UFS Gender and Sexual Equity Office. I hope you know this. I don't know if you do. But basically what I'm saying is it is tough, right? It took 6 years for us to get gender-inclusive bathrooms at the university. It took a long time. Till today, they're still debating the sexual harassment policy that we were trying to pass. Still today. This is a sexual harassment policy that started in 2014. It is a long process. But that 5% out of that 95% is important. That 5% that gets justice is important. And I'm not saying we can't do more. And yes, the university can be very, very difficult. The UFS is no picnic, right? But we must not despair, because there's 5% of people that we are helping nonetheless. And also, I think another thing, I don't know if you're still part of the GSE office or something else, but another thing that we need to take into consideration is when we do work with the GSE office, you don't work as just the office, because it's a tiny office, it has a very tiny budget. So you can't expect to create really huge change with such a small office, right? So contact your Human Rights Commission, contact your Gender Commission, and speak to them about the problems that they're having. See how they can help you in order to pass certain things. The charter wasn't written by the Gender and Sexual Equity Office alone, right? The Gender Commission was brought in to speak about the Gender and Sexual Equity Charter that was written by the GSE office. So there were steps that were taken, and however small they seem, you have to think about the fact that a couple of years ago there was no GSE office. In 2012 there was no GSE office, right? So for something that has been, like, that is still in its infancy, it has done something. It can do more, but it has done something. So we can't just despair because it's not the kind of change that you wanted to see.